Well, hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlock Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. My pleasure to be here with you guys today, and I've got a real treat for you. So, last week we talked a lot about family, and this week, taking a bit of a U turn, we're going down the business path again, and we want to talk all things email list, and in fact, everything that makes your email list sparkle. So, today I am joined by the amazing Melanie Hirschhorn, who comes to me today all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. I absolutely love that place. I've been there a number of times, been out to Sedona, and it's just a beautiful part of the world. So she's coming at us today. I jumped on with her this morning and said, "Good morning." And she was like, "Morning? It's afternoon where I am. Where the heck are you?" So, anyway, as you guys know, I'm coming at you from the Gold Coast of Australia. And as I said, Melanie's coming to us all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. So what is Melanie, what does Melanie actually do in her, for her passion and her day job? Well, like I mentioned, she wants to make your content sparkle. So anytime you are online, you want to make sure that you stand out, that you sparkle. And as a content manager strategist, so she's a content manager strategist for women in business worldwide, and she's on a mission to support and empower service-based businesses to create very clear messaging and content that shines their light on their individual experiences and skill sets, which I absolutely love, right up my alley, as you guys know. With her unique combination of entrepreneurship, award-winning journalism, and experience, Melanie empowers her clients to attract and nurture leads and position themselves as industry experts. She loves to provide content marketing tips via her podcast, VIP Access, and on her Facebook group, Sparkles and Strategy, which I'll tell you where you can go to get more about Melanie, because I know after today's show, you're going to want to hang out with her a little bit more. And we've got something special that we're going to be sharing with you a little bit later in the show, something new that Melanie has got coming out very, very shortly. So with that all being said, I want to welcome you to the show, Melanie. Thank you so much for being here all the way from Phoenix. It's fantastic to have you here on the Unlock Show.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm so happy to be here. And I didn't even have to get on 3 airplanes to come and visit you. Are you in Brisbane area?
Well, I'm about an hour south of Brisbane, so on the Gold Coast, which is not far from Brisbane. So you're in the right vicinity.
Okay, I wish I knew the geography better, but it looks beautiful.
It honestly is. It's a beautiful part of the world, just like vastly different to Phoenix, Arizona. I can tell you that, but equally as beautiful. So hey, let's kind of delve into. I mean, I know I've talked about email marketing before on the show, and we know that we've often heard this. The fortune lies within the list. Grow your list because there is a fortune that is sitting within it. So let's explain to everybody, what's your background? How have you come to be doing this? Because there's a number of things that, in your bio that you mentioned, award-winning journalist, PR experience, now kind of down this, I assume at some point you went down the email marketing rabbit hole and went, wow, there's a whole lot of sparkle down here. So maybe I might just hang out here. So tell us about how that's all come about.
Absolutely. So, like you said, I worked in Hollywood in PR, walked the red carpets, a lot of sparkle there. Then I moved into the realm of journalism, and I was on the radio, and then I worked for a newspaper. And then when I moved to Phoenix, I thought, I have this burning desire to create breastfeeding clothing for new moms, which is probably not something that most people think, right?
Uh-huh.
But I basically Googled my way through it. I designed and I manufactured clothes, and I sold them online on Amazon, on Nordstrom.com, and at various boutiques around North America. And I had hired somebody to help me with my social media and my email marketing, and it was a disaster. She was very verbally abusive, and I paid her a lot of money, and I came out with 5,000 Instagram followers that were never going to buy my stuff. And I had grown an email list of about 5,000. And by the end, I was sending emails that nobody wanted. So I saw the writing on the wall with regard to the business itself. Not only was I miserable. I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of out of that stage of life, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop doing this. But what can I do? How can I turn my really bad experience around? Because I did learn a whole lot. And I thought, all right, well, what if I take all the things that I know and put it together and help women with their marketing online so that
Mm-hmm.
I can actually help them, sparkle online. And so I've been doing that for a few years now. And most specifically now I've niched down and I really help women who are coaches, speakers, consultants who've written a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I help them amplify their mission and their message online using content marketing strategy.
Well, I absolutely love that. And how funny is it that, often we go through life and, we step into this entrepreneurial journey of ours that we're on now, and you come across various different people and you think, gosh, God, man, I could do that better. What if that experience wasn't that fantastic? How could I make the experience, better? What sort of things could I learn from this person to improve what I'm going to do? And obviously that was that massive turning point. I mean, you can only imagine if everything went swimmingly well, how different life would be right now. So it's almost as if you had to have that experience to go, boom, give me the idea and the concept of what I've now got to do. And what else is interesting from that, Mel, is that you then went, okay, I'm going to really get quite specific about what it is that I'm going to do. And often I find that, particularly with women, because we're so, I'm going to say, multi-talented, there's so many things that we are capable of doing that we're like, we want to try and be all things to everybody. And the like we talked about, the fortunes in the email list, but the fortunes also in being very, very specific and are very focused on almost the one thing that you are going to do to help a specific group of people. So let's talk a little bit more about, about how did you come to be working with this particular part of the market, this particular niche, so women, and then email, and then wanting to help them with their content and their messaging. Like, why is that so important to you?
I believe that I was put on this earth to help women get to higher places.
Mm-hmm.
My mission is to help women amplify their voices so that we can rule the world. And my small part of that is to help women get their messaging right so that people can understand what they're saying and get enrolled in their mission too. So that I can, I'm here to help, and I'm here to, like I said, amplify their mission.
Perfect. And you also talked about, being very specific about helping women who have written books, which, for those that have been listening to the Unlock show for a while would know that Vicky Helm and I wrote The She Myth earlier on this year. And, we've been down the path of doing all the marketing side of things as well. And in fact, we've got another brand new book coming out in just a few days' time. So I'll hold that, and I will announce that in an upcoming show in the next couple of days. But, so this is all important stuff that's like, sparkle to my ears when you talk about, email marketing and niching down and helping women, and then being very specific about helping women with books. So as you moved forward, why did you choose, like, why is it that you say that email marketing is so important? Why do you think it's the most reliable form of marketing?
Okay, so I'm going to break some really sad news to
Mm.
everybody, and it's that we do not own our social media followers. We are reliant on social media. We are reliant on algorithms. You can post something online, but you don't know if or when anyone will see it.
Mm-hmm.
However, you know who is opening your emails and when they're opening your emails. And you know if they didn't open your email, you can send it to them again with a different subject line. There is so much more control. You own your email list until someone unsubscribes. But Tracy, you know this. bye. It's okay. Say goodbye to the person who unsubscribes. They were not your ideal client anyway.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think this is, again, this is something that we've spoken about a lot, in this realm, and particularly, I think people, even the those that are not in the marketing space, are now starting to see why this is so important. Because you're seeing censorship, you're seeing, you're realizing that the information you're putting on mainstream social media is not your own, is becomes, part of the public space. But also, like you're saying, those algorithms, you don't have a lot of control over those. Whereas being able to send, an email and be able to communicate with people in a very specific way, which we're going to get to, because I know that you talk about, these 3 different types of email content that are really valuable to send. So we're going to talk about those in a bit more detail. But, being able to shift that audience, making what I call the big switch from them being on mainstream, social media, to now making that big switch over to a list that you own. So you're no longer at the mercy of of big socials to have to get your message and your information out there. So once you've made that big switch, like I want to talk about, or I want to ask you, like, what platforms do you recommend people use? Like if you're starting out and you have no email list, what are some of the simple things that people could do to help make that switch and start moving people from, the social media platforms to actually encourage them to join your email list?
Okay. Now, I want to clarify that just because you have an email list doesn't mean you shouldn't be on social media. You
For
should
sure.
absolutely be on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be on every social media platform. In fact, I'd recommend one where your ideal
Mm-hmm.
client is. That's the one you hang out on. And you can utilize that to get the email addresses of the people who are following you on that particular social media platform. But if you're just starting out and you don't know what email platform to start with, well, find a free one. There are a number of them, or free or low cost. I've used so many of them. I can give you examples. I've used MailChimp. I've used Flowdesk. Flowdesk is particularly pretty, and people use MailerLite. Then there are more robust ones like Kajabi or ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit. But you don't have, I had a client once, we started working together, and she said, I have 5 email platforms
Oh,
and I
wow.
don't know which one to use, so I have all of them. And I said, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
start eliminating them.
Mm-hmm.
And we got down to 1, and she was very happy.
Fantastic. Well, look, I'm just going to, as I should, do a shameless plug also for a platform called Usability, which is actually my own platform. So it has email marketing built right inside of it, with websites, blogs, and funnels, membership sites, etc. So if you're wanting to utilize that, you can also use the code UNLOCKED, and you'll get a 10% discount off of both the monthly and the annual plan. So there you go, guys. Just thought I would throw that out there. That is also available to you.
And okay, so tell us that one more time, because I want to check it out.
It's called Usability, Youseability.com, and you use the discount code UNLOCKED, and it will unlock a 10% discount across both the monthly and the annual plans. So you guys can go and check those out. So I want to, and as Mel said, really important. I don't want to give you guys the impression, don't use social media. You absolutely do. This is like a combination of both. So you want to use both of them in conjunction, and you use those social platforms as your jumping off point, allowing people to follow you on social and then get more intimate with you, I would say, through email. One of the things that a lot of people also say to me is like, oh, I'm not really good at writing emails and I don't know what to write in them. So let's help people understand, the 3 different types of emails that convert, because that's also really important. Like you mentioned earlier, hey, I'm getting the emails and then you get the unsubscribed. I mean, a big part of that is, okay, they're unsubscribing because they're not your type of people, but it could also be that we just haven't quite dialed in our messaging and our content in the right way that's actually appealing and enticing enough for your listeners, your viewers, your readers to want to hang around for. So let's talk about the 3 different types of emails that you see based on your experience that really do convert.
Okay, absolutely. All right. So the first one is the nurture email, which some people call a newsletter. And I find we can't use that anymore, because when you think newsletter and you get an email that's entitled monthly newsletter, you probably just hit delete. So the point of a nurture email, though, is to provide tips, how-tos, just great content, great value that shows that you are an expert in your field, and that the people who are on your list are going to benefit from ultimately working with you. You're going to teach them some great things that they need to know. And then it sort of nurtures the relationship, and it gets them to know you and like you and trust you more, which again, ultimately your goal is sales. Always. That's always our goal in the end. It's okay to say, I want to make money. That's a good thing. But it's not necessarily, you will always have a call to action at the end of every email, which is, click here, but don't right click here. But, ideally it's going to be, listen to this podcast episode, or, click this or read this, but you aren't necessarily selling something in an email that is considered a nurture email. And then there's the next kind, which is a sales email. So if you've ever been online, chances are you have received a sales email in your inbox, and usually there's a whole nuance to them, but at the end of it, it's trying to get you to take out your credit card and to join a program, join a course, or sign up for a masterclass, or buy a toothpaste or whatever. It's that the point of the email is for you to buy something. Now, it isn't an effective sales email, though, will not start with, "Dear Tracy, buy this now." It might start with a story, or a funny GIF or something that gets you interested to keep reading, and then you will ask for the sale. Then the third kind of email is kind of a hybrid almost. It's called a hand raiser. And if you have gotten one, you might not know what it's called. There's somebody that I'm in a networking group with her, and she sends them all the time, and she's really good at them. And it can be as simple as, "Hey, Tracy, are you looking to get new clients this quarter? If so, reply to this email." The whole thing. That's a hand raiser. Why? Because it calls out a specific group of people. So anybody on your list who's looking to get more sales this quarter, you're talking to them. And the rest of them are just going to be like, meh, it's not for me. And even though you can, with your spacing, you can keep hitting enter and have lots and lots of space between your signature and the unsubscribe line at the bottom. Often people don't realize that the unsubscribe line is there, and they think that you're actually talking to them one-on-one.
Yeah, wow. Well, there you go. That's a little tip. Just make sure the unsubscribe's there, but just a little bit further down the page. So, most people won't scroll that far. So we're talking nurture emails, we're talking sales emails, and then also, those opportunities where we get people to raise their hand. And often we've done this too. And another example of that would be, I'm thinking about doing blah, blah, blah. Are you interested, or are you in? And often people will raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm in. That's me. You can use those. I find them really, really handy when you're trying to test a market and validate a concept or an idea. They're great for that sort of thing. So let's go down the path of, and again, this is another thing that a lot of people kind of get stuck on, because they're like, oh, I'm not really good at spelling or grammar. And so therefore I don't know how to create an email that actually draws people in and so that people actually want to stay and want to read it. What I found initially, starting out in this realm, because coming from corporate, they were very corporate-based emails, right? So there's a certain way that you write in corporate, and then there's a very different way that we write, I'm going to say non-grammatical or not proper English, or England, we just don't do that when we're writing an email. So what is appropriate and what's not appropriate to do when writing a engaging email that converts?
Okay, well, I'm a grammarian, so I always believe that grammar and spelling are appropriate. Good grammar and good spelling, those should always be there because, but you know what, at the same time, typos happen. So you can't, beat yourself up over it. Like overall, done is always better than perfect because some people won't care if there's a typo and they'll still appreciate the content that you sent. So, people who are worried about what to write, how to write, all that stuff. Then when in doubt, start with a story. Start with a story about you. We as humans, we love stories. That's how we learn. That's how we remember things. That's how we relate to one another. So if you can tell a story about something that happened in your day and then sort of relate it back to what it is that you do, that's a great way to have an email that's going to engage your followers.
And isn't it interesting? I was mentioning to Melanie earlier, before we jumped on here, some of the things that have been happening in my family world over the last few days, and one of which was that an aunt of mine passed away. And as Melanie's talking about stories, I'm thinking about, every part of our lives, we are telling stories, even right to the end. You're standing up, you're telling the story of the person through a eulogy or something like that. It's just, and often we get stuck, we get hung up on, I don't know how to tell a good story. But if you think about those moments where you're just sharing what's gone on in somebody's life, or what's happened during the day, you get your kids around the dinner table and you're asking them, well, how did you go at school today? And they start telling story. So all of those sorts of things are the things, and what happens when they're doing that, your little ears prick up. You're like, tell me more about that. You want to hear about people's lives, and you want to hear about them through story, and it's the story that allows us to become that relatable, almost like the glue that holds everything together. It's the thing that draws the person in, allows them to see themselves in your story, and then makes you relatable, and as you were saying, likable, trustworthy, and and all those other wonderful things that make people want to continue to follow you. When you're creating your emails, and particularly when you're in the entrepreneurial space, there's so many things that we need to do to get our marketing message out there. And we're always looking for ways to do things, smarter, not harder. So I know that one of the things that you also encourage your clients to do is to take what they have and to repurpose those and turn them into other things. So we're not having to work, 2, 3, 4 times as hard to try and get something done. So let's tell everybody a little bit about this whole process of repurposing and how can you make that relevant in the email space.
Okay, thank you. So I love to talk about repurposing because our goal in life, just as you said, Tracy, is not to make things harder, but to make things smarter. So let's say you start out and you write a blog and you think, okay, well, this blog post is really good. It has great messaging. It's talking about a product that I have or a service that I have. What can I do with it? Well, you can take that same blog post and you can make it into smaller chunks and use that as captions on your social media. You can also take that same blog post and use it as the basis of your email if you're sending out an email to your list. What I personally do is I like to work in a different way. I tend to start on social media first. So I'll sit in my social media platform. I use Sendable.com. Some people use Later.com, Planoly. I like Sendable because I got everything attached. Some people use Buffer, Hootsuite. It's all the same thing. Basically, it's again, working smarter, not harder. So in the back end, I'm sitting and I'm just typing into it. And I'll tell you, I have made that mistake before where it deleted and then I had to start again. So I also use I also do it on a separate document just in case. But I'll sit there and I'll come up with a really fun post for LinkedIn. And so then I posted it on LinkedIn and I was like, ooh, I like that. So then I took it and I posted it on Instagram and on Facebook and in my Facebook group. I was like, oh, this is so good. Oh, and then I made an email out of it too. So that was one piece of content that I posted in a number of different places. And I really didn't do much tweaking at all to it because it was still my messaging. Sometimes people say, but then everyone's going to see it everywhere. And the answer is that's not true. They're not going to do that because unless you have like an amazing stalker or maybe, you know, your mom, maybe your mom follows you everywhere. It doesn't work like that. We're fighting with algorithms. Sometimes people aren't going to open your email. So if they see your message once in one place and you've put it out into 8, then at least you got your message out there. So don't shy away from posting the same thing in multiple places.
At what point do you think people should start like creating their emails? Like, is that something that you would do a little bit further down the track? Is it something you recommend they do from the get-go? Like, what's the time frame? When is the right time to start emailing, a list? Because a lot of people would say, oh, I don't have very many people on my list, so, therefore I'm not going to do it.
Right, of course. Well, even if you have 15 people and 2 of them are your brother, that's okay. Because you want to it's almost like muscle memory. You want to get into the habit of reaching out to your list every single week because that will always keep you top of mind. And it will always, get people remembering when they finally need what it is that you do. Oh, I need Tracy Wilson because I'm ready for her now. So getting into the habit of emailing regularly right away is a great thing. And if you're already writing the email, then you now have what to post on social media or what to post on a blog. So you have that ready to repurpose right away.
Or what to talk about on a show, or vice versa in that case. So let's also now talk about, the metrics. What are some of the metrics, the measurements that we should actually care about? What are the ones that really matter?
Okay, so of course things are changing all the time. I always believe that your open rate is the most important, and across industries, the average open rate used to be about 22%. So if you were doing 22 or above, that's incredible. However, recently it's gone down due to changes with, I think, Apple Mail now not allowing us to know when people have opened their emails. So that is something to look at always. Look at the open rate, and you want to look at the click rate. How many people are actually clicking on the button or the link that you include in your email? And 2.5% to 3%, that's great. That's average. And if you're doing average, you're doing amazing. The number one email that gets opened, though, I'll tell you, is the one that comes after somebody downloads your freebie. That's the number one. So that's going to be the highest. And did you know that most companies don't even bother to create a welcome sequence?
Yeah, it's phenomenal, right? Well, let's go down that path of like, what is a welcome sequence? When should you have that? And how many emails and what sort of emails would be included in that? And why is that so important?
Okay, so I'll try to answer all those questions in just one thing. So you have a freebie. Somebody downloads it and gives you their email address in exchange. And now you have a new subscriber. So what do you do with this subscriber? Because remember, this person gave you their email address because you created something that they wanted. What does that mean? That means that they are a potential lead for whatever it is that you do. So if you give them your PDF and then they never hear from you again, you have just wasted your time. So having a welcome sequence, which is 5 to 8 emails that are just automatically going to fire out every day, you don't have to think about it because it's already done. And it's going to create that familiarity. So the person is going to go, oh yeah, I remember downloading that from Melanie yesterday. Oh, okay, yeah. So now I see what she does. Now I'm learning a little bit more about her. Oh, here's Melanie in my inbox again. Okay, she wants to give me more stuff. Because what often happens is, I mean, you probably have a folder of freebies you've downloaded that you haven't ever opened. I have one of them too. Most people do. And if any of those people emailed me today, I wouldn't know who that was. Because I never heard from them again.
It's interesting that you should actually say that, because I was talking about this with our team the other day and saying, the number of emails lists that I'm on, that I've subscribed to over the years, and then getting these, I'm going to say, random emails from people. I think, who is that? What? I don't recall, subscribing to your list, and I have got no idea who you are or what you're about. So a couple of little pointers that I was talking about, even with our team, is like even putting a picture of who you are on there, and don't forget to sign off with who you are and even how that person has come to be on your list, because we forget, particularly if you are on multiple different lists and people are chopping and changing, what it is that they are doing or what they're about. It's really important that you lead them back to somewhere where they can refresh their memory about who are you and what is it that you do. Because it was just something that I had noticed in my email list. I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. And it wasn't just one, it was several, just over and over and over again, people not signing off with who they are, what they do, even a picture of them or something that gives you a visual recollection of, oh, now I know who that person is. Because if I just signed off with Tracy Wilson, common name, you may not remember who I am unless you saw my face, because you might recognize me from being on the show, or seeing my face on various different pieces of material that I put out. And we do that very specifically so that people can recall. We recall by pictures. So really important that you include that sort of thing in your email so people remember who the heck you are.
And I'd argue that if you kept emailing them every single week after they downloaded the freebie, then they'll always know who you are.
Absolutely. So in the sequence of welcome emails, is there like a set number of emails that should be in there, and the types of emails that you would send thereafter?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are guidelines, which I'm happy to give you, but nothing is, none of this is gospel, right? You have to do what feels good for you and your brand. But that said, I would always, this one's gospel, guys, okay? When somebody downloads your freebie, do not give it to them right on the page. Stop doing that. Let them have to go to their email to get it. That's going to get them that muscle memory. Oh, I got to get my email from Tracy Wilson in order to get my freebie. Right? That gets them used to opening the email, because I can tell you that if you allow them to have it before they have to open your email, that email's
they'll never go there again.
Nope.
Yeah.
And none of the others are either, probably. So that's the one.
That's a great tip to do that. Look, you mentioned the frequency of email, and again, this is a question that comes up often too. Is like, how often should I email? How often is too many times? What's too infrequent? What's like that sweet spot of the number of times that you should be emailing your list?
Okay, well, I email my list twice a week. Tuesdays, I email them with tips and things like that. Fridays, I email them with my podcast episode. And I'm not getting a lot of unsubscribes at all. So I think for me and my audience, 2 is good. But they also know I'm not harassing them to buy crap all the time. I'm providing great info. And there will be times that, I have an event coming up, for example, and I'm going to be saying, hey, I'd love for you to sign up. So when that kind of stuff happens, I'm going to be emailing a little bit more frequently because you have to remind people. People forget.
Yes.
We forget. So in general, with your nurture emails, I think once a week is awesome. If you can do once a week, where once a week you're landing in their inbox, that's amazing. And I want to answer the question that I didn't answer before about what should be in the welcome sequence. So first one is the thing that you give them, the deliverable. The next one, talk about you, who you are, how you help people, right? Because we love having a face to a brand. You don't want to be the Gap or Nike. There's no people associated with that, right? So, and then as you move through the sequence, you can tell stories of client wins, and you can offer more freebies, you know, something that builds upon the first freebie. And then ultimately you can invite people to a call with you, or you can invite them to sort of a lower cost program or course that you have that they could potentially purchase right from your email. And so, but what you've done is you've built upon, each email builds upon the next, so that by the time they get to email number 7, they're like, oh, I know Melanie. She's my new best friend. She comes to my inbox all the time and she gives me all this cool stuff. And now I really, you know, I want to reciprocate and I want to buy her course or whatever. Sorry, Mercury is in retrograde right now, and I was warned that I would trip over my words, so I just did.
That's totally okay. Look, it's like I said to you earlier, it's been a big week for me too. So I'm surprised that you know, I'll manage to get through this without too many tripping over of my words either. So, you know, really important that we continue to nurture those people that join our list. And like you mentioned, you know, we don't want to be on at them, selling them, sell all the time, because that's a sure pathway to the unsubscribe bucket, right? We want to make sure that we're leading with value, that we're sharing our tips, our thoughts, our, you know, information, our knowledge, our wisdom. We want to share all of that very willingly up front, because then as you do that, people are going to be more receptive and want to know, well, Kate, gosh, if I get this amazing stuff from Tracy or from Mel, you know, through just for free, imagine what I'm going to get inside of their program, or inside, you know, working with her one-on-one, or the type of experience that I'm going to get from her. That is what we want to do as we're setting all of this up, is you want to be creating an experience, an expectation of an experience that your people are going to get when they start working with you. And you want to become that person who is top of mind. Oh yes, I know, like Melanie said, I know Mel, she's in my inbox every day. I really like her. I love what she's got to say. And it's exactly in alignment with what it is that I need right now in my business. That is the thought process. That is what we want our readers to be thinking and feeling when they're reading and engaging with our emails and information. And I think it's great too. You know, as you guys know, I am a big fan of getting out and speaking, whether it be on a show like this or whether it be through a podcast. Personally, I think a show is a fantastic way of being able to do it, super authentic, but also then being able to take these shows, and as Melanie said, she's then continuing to share her podcast with her subscribers on a weekly basis. So it's also a great way to be able to increase the number of, you know, downloads on her podcast on a regular basis. So there's so many things that we've spoken about today in terms of, you know, why email is so important. And as you've heard Melanie say, you know, we need to make that shift from social over to platforms that you actually own. There is a real fortune sitting within that list of yours. And if you continue to nurture it and look after it, like it really truly is an arm of your business that you want to be taking care of, and communicating with people with the things that are going to be really important with them. She mentioned right up early, early in the show, understanding who your audience is, getting very, very clear on your messaging, niching down. When you can do that, you can become very, very specific in everything that you do, your messaging online, through your shows, through your social media posts, and then also through your emails, because they are going to be the sorts of things that your audience expects to receive when they subscribe to your list. So Mel, is there anything that you would like to add to the show today, to share with our viewers? Any other major tips that you think are really important, or even just some words of advice or wisdom that you would like to share to ensure that they can, I mean, the main thing is we want people to be taking action today out of what they learn. So, you know, information is all good and well, but it's no good to you unless you take action on it. So is there anything you would like to share before we finalize today's show?
Yes. So I'm so glad you said that, because it's true. We can give you all the strategy in the world, but without the right mindset, it's going to be tough to take action. So a lot of people say to me, I'm afraid that I'm going to sound dumb. I don't know what to write, or I'm going to be bothering people, or what if they pick apart what I wrote, or they're going to judge me. So those feelings are so common. I want you to know everybody has those when they sit down to write an email. But how often do you get an email that says, oops, we forgot to include the link, or oops, we gave you the wrong. But you know what? That's so commonplace. So I want you to remember that taking imperfect action is going to get you a lot farther than if you sit back and stop yourself from ever trying. So I challenge you to put together an email. You still have time. I mean, you're tomorrow for me, but I'm still today. So you still have a couple of days left this week to send out an email. So I challenge you to put together an email and send it out to your list, whether your list has 10 people on it or 10,000 people on it, because I know you can do it. You bring your unique skill set, your experience, your expertise, and there's a reason that people signed up, because they want to hear from you. So do them a favor and provide your service for them.
Fantastic. Thanks. I encourage you to do that too, guys. Like, as you know, nothing happens unless you take some action. So we must do that. So head on, make it your mission today, or this evening, I should say, and get yourself sorted with sending an email out and just start communicating with your list. Look, I wanted to also let you know that Melanie has got an amazing program coming up. She's got a brand new workshop coming out called All That Glitters Workshop, and it's actually teaching people how to create the marketing messaging, the information, the email sequences that you should be sending once you've written a book. And as you guys know, writing books is also right up my alley, and also my good friend Vicky Helm, who you've seen on the show many a time. Her and I have got another brand new book coming out very, very shortly, which I'll tell you about before we end today's show. But right now, I want to let you know where you can go to get on the list to be able to hear more from Melanie and to hear when her brand new workshop is coming out. So I'm just going to make sure that I pop this in a banner, Mel. Let me just pop this in here. So it is called, so go to www.allthatglitters, oops, let me spell this right, allthatglitters.com workshop, sorry, Glitters Workshop. I'm just going to pop it on the screen, .com. Alrighty, let's do this. Here we go. Hopefully I've spelt that all correctly. So allthatglittersworkshop.com, guys. So just head on over there. You'll be able to get yourself on the list so that you can hear from Mel when that workshop is available and ready for you guys to join. So allthatglitters.com. And if you want to hang out with Melanie more, where do they go, Mel? Where's the best place for them to hang out with you?
I am always everywhere, but if you're on LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn, or if you want a fun freebie, I have that as well, and I have a free content calendar that you can grab if you like. That's just it's kind of a long thing, so I can I'm gonna make you type something else. It's it's vipdigital.live/content calendar. And it's a free content calendar that will help set you up for success and keep you accountable to committing to post on. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
There you go,
Committed
guys.
to
So
posting.
that is vipdigital.live/content calendar. Go and get yourself that free calendar, and she'll keep you on track, making sure that you are posting at all the right times. Hey, Mel, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Email is always, it's a fun thing to talk about. There's so many things that you could be putting into your emails and continuing to communicate with everyone. So I just want to recap a couple of things. So, the three types of emails that you want to make sure that you're sending, that you put into your content calendar. And I know if you go and download that, Melanie's probably got them all spelt out on there anyway. But, we're talking nurture emails, we're talking sales emails, and we're also talking about those hand raiser emails. So go and get yourself a copy of her content calendar and you can delve deeper into that. But just making sure that you do that on a regular basis, 1 to 2 times a week is appropriate. And of course, we've also covered inside of today's show some of those really key metrics that you want to make sure that you get yourself across, so that you're not beating yourself up when you're trying to hit very unrealistic, metrics and targets, but so that you can really understand what you're trying to achieve and what's appropriate. So that being said, a couple of other things that I mentioned on today's show is you can head on over to usability.com. You can sign up for a free trial. Let me actually look at that. I've even got one of these set up. So there you go. You can go to www.usability.com. You can get yourself a free trial for 14 days. Check it out. Have a bit of a play. Has email marketing all built inside of it. And if you decide that you want to use that as an ongoing platform, then use the code UNLOCKED to get yourself a 10% discount on the monthly and the annual plans. And last but not least, I won't keep you guys in suspension for too much longer, but as I mentioned, brand new book Vicky Helm and I have been working on over the last, I'm going to say, like month or so. It has been a whirlwind of a time pulling all of that together. Huge shout out to Vicky. She is amazing when it comes to writing books, and you should definitely follow her and be looking at how she actually does it. She's got a brand new workshop and a program coming out very, very shortly. In fact, it's just launched, and I will put into the comments a little bit later where you can go to find that. But our brand new book called How to Go from a Six-Figure Coach to a Seven-Figure and Beyond Mentor. So some fundamental shifts that you need to make in there to transform from being a coach into a seven-figure mentor, which we share with you, and we uncover and unlock all of the secrets as to how you do that and how we coach our students through making that transition from being a six-figure coach to a seven-figure mentor. So, all right, guys, loads and loads of stuff that I've shared with you guys today. I hope you've enjoyed today's show, as I have thoroughly enjoyed talking with Melanie and her sharing her wisdom and her knowledge and her skill set with us today. And as we've mentioned, you guys can continue to follow her on the channels that she's mentioned earlier. Other than that, I'm going to see you guys again on the Unlock Show. I'll be back again with another episode this Friday. So our Friday sessions will recommence. We had the first one again last week. I'll be back again this Friday. And then, of course, again next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Brisbane time, other times that we will be going live here on the Unlock Show. So thanks very much for joining, Mel. It's been fantastic talking with you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom today. And I look forward to continuing to follow you on your journey, and perhaps we'll have you back at another time here on the Unlock Show. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys again on Friday. Bye for now.